Welcome, PFL fight fans, to Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, the epicenter of the combat sports world, a jewel of the desert, and the host city for Battle of the Giants. The time has finally arrived, the Battle of the Giants in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Two of the biggest, baddest, hardest hitting men on planet Earth squaring off at the Mayadeen Stadium. Francis Ngannou and Renan Ferreira, the Problema. October 19th, exclusively on ESPN Plus pay-per-view and DAZN pay-per-view. Dan Hardy, over to you.
Thanks, Sean. I'm here on the steps of the Smart Cage. These are the last few steps that the fighters will take before their feet touch that canvas. At this point, their heart is pounding, their palms are sweaty, their corner team is in the corner, they've got all the instructions in their head. All they need to do now is go out and perform on one of the biggest stages they've ever stepped in on. This is going to be a really interesting night. See who can hold it together under this kind of pressure. Brett, over to you.
Thank you so much, Dan. I've had the privilege of covering the sport for the last 10 years, and what draws me to it are the characters and the stories. And Francis Ngannou stands out to me as the most remarkable. Everything that this man has overcome and endured, only to be challenged in a way he never has earlier this year. He did not have to take this fight here in Saudi Arabia. He took it to honor the memory of his late son, Kobe, who passed away in April. And you just can't help but feel anything but admiration and respect for Francis as he takes on yet another challenge and puts it all on the line here tomorrow evening. And for more on this historic event, Randy Couture standing in the Smart Cage.
Thanks, Brett. It's hard to articulate the amount of pressure these title fighters are facing on fight week. There's nothing quite like it. The physical work is all done. Now it's the mental skills that are going to show up. Who's going to show those first chinks in the armor? Who's going to show that first sweat on the brow? It's going to be interesting. Look forward to seeing who comes out on top and imposes their will tomorrow night in Riyadh.
The Battle of the Giants. Two titans who loom larger than life.
Renan Ferreira, a knockout machine.
Unlike anything seen before.
The baddest man on the planet is Francis Ngannou.
It goes beyond just physical dimensions. They are giant in their movement, in force.
The most feared heavyweight on the planet.
Francis Ngannou, the Predator. The baddest man on the planet. And Renan, the Problema, Ferreira, who has twice reigned as king.
Problema with the championship!
A rare force of nature. The scope and scale of these two also stretches far beyond the cage. Two inspiring figures from two sides of an ocean. It's certain Ngannou and Ferreira are giants in every sense of the word. And their impending collision promises to be a memorable moment in history on a massive night that will captivate. A legend against an unstoppable power. And an undefeated icon against a familiar foe. This is a moment that will be remembered. The biggest heavyweight fight of our time.
Battle of the Giants, ladies and gentlemen.
Ending a night of supreme battles. Welcome to the PFL Battle of the Giants.
We're here in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia at the Mayadeen Stadium for the weigh-ins. And tonight's PFL supervised pay-per-view Battle of the Giants weigh-in is presented by Element, official hydration partner of Battle of the Giants. Fighters in the building. There's Larissa Pacheco, two-time, two-weight class women's champion in the PFL. She takes on a legend of the game tomorrow night. Chris Cyborg has collected all of the hardware available in the sport of mixed martial arts, except for PFL Gold. Speaking of PFL Gold, the heavyweight champion of our 2023 season, Renan Ferreira, grabbed that belt and then collected the champs versus champs belt when he dispatched the Bellator champion Ryan Bader. And of course, Francis Ngannou making his long-awaited return to mixed martial arts. No stranger to hardware, the former UFC champ, the uncrowned king, stepping into the smart cage for the very first time. There's the scale on the stage as we are here and ready for the weigh-ins at Maya Dean Stadium. One final order of business to get done before fights tomorrow night. I am Sean O'Connell, happy to be here, joined by the legendary Randy Couture, equally legendary Dan Hardy, and come on, what a pleasure to have the Super Bowl champion, maybe the legend of all legends, Ray Lewis here with us in Riyadh.
Brother, it does not get any better than this. You talk about a battle of giants. I've had many giants in my day, but this giant right here, I am super excited to see this giant.
Well, speaking of giants, we've got massive heavyweights in our main event tomorrow night. But standing next to me is a guy who was not just a one-time heavyweight champ, a multiple-time heavyweight champion in the UFC, and he was a light heavyweight champ. In fact, he was the first fighter ever to hold 2 UFC belts in 2 different weight classes, at heavyweight and at 205. He fought in 15 career title fights, and Randy is not the same size as Renan Ferreira or as Francis Ngannou. And I say that with all due respect, Randy, because I'm still scared of you.
Well, you're making me blush, Sean. Cut it out.
Also, Ray, the only man standing here who has actually felt the power for real of Francis Ngannou, the only one who's actually trained with him and sparred with him, is the old guy. It makes no sense.
It makes plenty of sense. I don't want to get in there and spar with him right now.
Let's talk about what's coming tomorrow night here in Saudi Arabia. We start the action at 1:30 Eastern in the States. This will be our early card. Some showcase opportunities, some rising stars, and how about Rafion Stotts and Marcus Breno Leal? I'm very much looking forward to that one. Rob Stotts, he has not yet fought in the PFL Smart Cage. And then, of course, the pay-per-view portion, our main card. And it's just banger after banger. AJ McKee and Paul Hughes will start the action. We will finish with an incredible main event. And don't sleep on the co-main, Chris Saborg, Larissa Pacheco. Just for fun, just to give you a little more, also a middleweight title bout between Johnny Evelyn and Fabian Edwards on the card. Let's talk about Francis Ngannou making his return to the sport of mixed martial arts after some time away in the boxing world where he was a big-time disruptor. But Randy, now he's back and where he made himself famous in the sport where we really got to know how dangerous this man is.
Yeah, out of his 17 victories, 12 of those have come by KO. He's got victories over 4 UFC champions. This guy is the hardest hitting man in the sport of mixed martial arts. He came to us to Extreme Couture to shore up his wrestling, and that's going to be the intriguing part of this matchup with Renan Ferreira, because those wrestling skills are definitely going to come into play against these 2 giants.
See, I'm most interested, Randy, in how his boxing training is going to play into his mixed martial arts game. Obviously, he's been training for Tyson Fury, he's been training for Anthony Joshua, but you've got to think some of those skills are going to transfer into this fight this weekend, right? They've got to. His punching power has been refined and made more accurate and made more cleaner with his technique. He's going to be way more dangerous in mixed martial arts in 4-ounce gloves this time around.
I think the psychological confidence of fighting 2 huge guys like that in boxing world and now coming back to MMA is going to be a factor as well.
Ray, what do you think of this? A long layoff for Francis from the sport of mixed martial arts. But we asked him and he said, it's like riding a bike. I didn't forget anything. He got back in the training room. But it's been a while since he's competed inside a cage.
Yeah, but warriors don't forget what they do well, right? This is war. This is a battle, right? And I think there's 2 factors that we really got to pay attention to. And Randy, you hit on it, right? Like the wrestling skills, I think is going to be huge in this, right? If you leave Renan standing up, he's long and he's rangy, right? And he can actually get to Francis. I think you have to take this guy to the mat. You have to deal with him. And personally, guys, I'm just telling you this. There's a different mentality. I lost a child myself. When you lose a child, you think differently about life. And I think this is going to play a big role in this fight coming up this week, tomorrow.
Wait until you see Francis step on the scale also. He's very lean right now. Yeah. He's put in an incredible training camp, and it makes me wonder if that's been a lot of grappling because he wants to get Problema off his feet. Let's talk about Renan Ferreira, the man who wears PFL gold, champs versus champs gold, and this is a flashback to when he finally got over the hump and won his first $1 million PFL championship. Dan, I think the most important thing about this fight is that was a TKO finish in the second round, and it happened after he got taken down twice in the first round. He's showing a new level to his game.
Which shows he can come back from adversity. He might be taken down in this fight. He might need to work back to his feet, and he might need to maintain his punching power into the later rounds. Now, what I love about this fight and about the one against Bader is how he pulled them into his right hand. He let them fire first and then comes over the top, utilizing that power as well as that reach advantage.
Randy, you saw the list of most knockouts. He's got a bunch, and 4 in a row for Renan Ferreira. He's really found his groove in the striking.
And the number 2 and number 3 fastest in the PFL Smart Cage as well, which is remarkable. I think that the big thing with Renan Ferreira is the change of camps. Moving to top team in Florida, working with Conan Silveira, all of the partners that he has there now, the psychological aspect of that. We've seen him come into the Smart Cage and not show up on occasion, especially when things get tough. And I think that has been shored up. That psychological and physical part of his game since moving to top team is what put him in that championship belt in the first place.
Maybe the first time that Problema has fought a guy who hits just as hard as he does. And you could say the same for Francis Ngannou. So with that in mind, Ray, who commits first? Who really tries to throw that knockout punch first?
I think both, honestly, because both of them know the power of each other. And I think one of them have to say, I got to get this guy early. If I'm Francis, I'm making him work. Like, I am going directly at his soul, at his spirit. I want you right now. Let's get into this war. Let's not, because if he dances with him, it's a different game. So that's kind of what I think.
Ray Lewis just gets me fired up. Can you corner me if I fight against him, please?
I will.
Amazing. Amazing.
If you don't go buy the pay-per-view, we're going to send Ray Lewis to your house.
There you go. Yeah, there'll be a knock at the door.
Let's talk about our co-main event. An absolute legend, Cris Cyborg. As I said, she's already worn every belt available in the sport of mixed martial arts, except this one, except the PFL belt. And she called it the beginning of her legacy tour, Dan Hart.
Look, this completes the set for her, and Cyborg knows she doesn't really have anything to prove in the sport, but if there's one other belt out there that she can get her hands on, just to solidify that legacy, why would she not do it? And of course, Larissa Pacheco is potentially the next generation of the Brazilian superstars coming out. If Pacheco gets the win here over Cyborg, she becomes an immediate overnight superstar and potentially takes the place of Cyborg in the current state of MMA.
Randy, you and I have been watching Larissa Pacheco since the very beginning of her PFL journey. We have seen the growth. We have seen the progression, not only in her skills, but in her physicality. Can she get it done against the legend?
I think her physicality and her mentality have been the 2 huge things that she's improved on. She was a little soft in those first early seasons. Not anymore, and that power is there. She can crack. She's not afraid to step into the pocket, go nose to nose. And here's the only 2-division champ we've had in the PFL for a women's division. So she's got everything going for her. She may be not a household name at this point, but she's stepping in there against one, and one of them is going to walk out of there. And I think Larissa Pacheco has a great chance of doing that and being victorious and becoming that household name.
Ray, I'm going to take a liberty here, and I'm going to say this, for me, is like a fight between Ray Lewis and Patrick Willis, the older version and the younger version. This is a mirror match because I see Larissa Pacheco as the younger version of Cris Cyborg. How does that play out?
Listen, it plays out simply. When you think about Cris Cyborg, her mentality is legacy. That's a different thing. I love Patrick Willis, and I love what you did. But that last ride, that's my legacy. That's everything, right? So I think Cris Cyborg comes out and possibly completes that because it's just a different thing. But this other, look, war is war, right? I think it's the science of the mentality that defines wars. Yeah.
That's your co-main event. So you've got monsters in the main event, legends and monsters in the co-main event, and wait, there's more. A title fight on this one. Bellator Gold being contested in the middleweight division between Johnny Eblen and Fabian Edwards. This is a rematch, and last time out, Fabian Edwards came so close to handing Johnny Eblen his first career loss. He says he's going to get it done this time, Randy. How does it play out at 185 pounds?
Well, Johnny Eblen looked amazing against Impa Kasanganay in the champs versus champs match. He relies heavily on his wrestling skills. He's definitely going to need those against Edwards. This guy's 15-0 for a reason. He's got it going on upstairs. Another collegiate wrestler who's rallied that battle of college wrestling into MMA and been very, very successful.
We're going to open the card with this one, AJ McKee and Paul Hughes.
Well, this one has been generating a lot of interest around this card because this is a veteran in AJ McKee, someone that really should be a massive favorite going into this fight. Taking on Paul Hughes, who is the rising prospect. Big news, Paul Hughes had one fight on Bellator, looked fantastic, has jumped up massively in competition to take on AJ McKee. But as he keeps saying, this is divine timing. He feels like he's ready for this big opportunity. And to fight AJ McKee, he's going to have to raise his game. And if anyone can, it's going to be Paul Hughes.
Well, Dan, you talk about how he stepped up in competition and the timeline on Paul Hughes' career, and really he is a rising star. Well, it looks like this. 16 years old, he makes his amateur debut, and immediately people started to recognize what he was capable of. Still in his teens when he became a pro. Cage Warriors champ, signs the exclusive contract as one of the biggest free agents in mixed martial arts, and then he brings it into the Bellator and PFL family, gets his first win under the big banner. He is not intimidated. He is not afraid of AJ McKee.
What I bring to the cage that AJ wouldn't be ready for is that young dog, what he used to be back in the day. You know, AJ's been there and done it now. He's fought the best. He's won a lot of money. He doesn't have that hunger that I have. I'm new to this game, I'm new to the PFL, I'm new to making a bit of money, and I want to make some more, so give me AJ's head on a spike. I don't know where that came from. Is that too aggressive?
Look, little creativity in the trash.
Medieval there.
Head on a spike, fine. Ray, this is the rising rookie against the veteran dog who has been in those shoes. AJ McKee has been in this Paul Hughes position before, and now he's trying to knock him back down the ladder.
Paul says something very interesting, right? He's been there before. AJ has been there before. He's done it. Paul is hungry. He's thirsty. He needs it. In these fights, I want you to always understand this simply in war. Championship mentalities change everything. And I'm telling you, that will be the deciding factor in this fight coming forward. Who can outlast the other from a mentality standpoint?
Dan, from a tactical standpoint, does he have the skill to dispatch someone like AJ McKee, who is well-rounded?
He absolutely has the skills. He just has not applied those skills at this kind of level of opposition, right? There's no reason why if he connects on the chin of AJ McKee, AJ's not going to hit the canvas. We've seen many a man hit the deck after a big left hook to the head or the body from Paul Hughes. And he's got the ground game to match it as well. I've followed this young man's career. He is a tremendous talent. And this might be his coming out party this weekend.
It's cliche, Randy, to say, oh, this is his toughest test, but it's absolutely undeniable. Paul Hughes is facing the toughest test of a young and promising career, and there's danger that you could derail a bit of that hype train. What does his mentality have to be in order to get the win over AJ McKee?
Well, I think he's got to go out and impose his will on AJ McKee. He's got to watch out for the slick submissions, the ground game. AJ's very, very well-rounded, very well prepared, and he's got to go out and have his way. Make it happen. There's no other way around it. You got to go out and push it and make it happen.
5 great fights on our main card. Here's where it will start. Pre-fight show begins 12:30 Eastern, 9:30 Pacific time. Early card, 1:30. That's when the fights begin. And then, of course, your pay-per-view portion, 4 Eastern, 1 Pacific. Here is how you buy. See that QR code on your screen? Just scan it. Buy now, DAZN.com. If you're watching in the United States, ESPN Plus pay-per-view as well. The only way to see the Giants, the Battle of the Giants, is to buy it on pay-per-view. So buy now.
Be on the lookout. Francis Ngannou and Renan Ferreira brace for impact.
Francis Ngannou.
Right where I live.
Let's talk about Problema, a Brazilian knockout machine.
Feeding my fam. I'm feeding the meter. They got
The
the
most feared heavyweight on the planet.
coming in.
A clash of titans here. Fans who purchase the pay-per-view on DAZN will also have the option of watching the event via Helwani Vision. Star-studded guests are confirmed. Global superstar Jake Paul, NFL Super Bowl champion Rob Gronkowski, the legendary Chael Sonnen, and more. Tonight's PFL Supervised pay-per-view Battle of the Giants, is presented by Elements, official hydration partner of Battle of the Giants.
Don't play dice, so trust what you believe.
Eu acho que assim, não é que é diferente, mas é um pouco mais afiado, mais treinado em todos os aspectos e mais experiente.
Redirecting fate, making friends with fear.
Eu vou levar todo tipo de problema para ele, tanto na parte de trocação, no wrestling, no chão, então... Vou me provar ali dentro, saber o quão grande eu já estou, o quão grande eu já construí a minha história, quanta experiência eu já trouxe até aqui. Nessa luta vai ser uma guerra, vou entregar tudo de mim como eu tenho sempre feito, sempre buscando a luta, andando pra frente, buscando nocaute, com muita garra, então essa garra, essa perseverança é o que vai prevalecer.
It's cliche to say I cannot wait for that main event, but truly this is one of the most highly anticipated fights I've ever had the pleasure of calling and that we have ever had the pleasure of hosting in the PFL family. Francis Ngannou, Renan Ferreira is the biggest fight of the year in 2024. So without further ado, we're here for the weigh-ins. We'll send it over to the voices of our Smart Cage tonight and tomorrow night, Michael C. Williams and Saif Al-Naji.
Sean, thank you very much. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Good afternoon. As we get set for the PFL Super Fights Battle of the Giants pay-per-view from here in Riyadh. We have the weigh-ins and your fighters on the scale just moments from now as we get set. All the excitement here locally, the anticipation building up for what will be tomorrow night live on pay-per-view, one of the most anticipated fight cards of the year. Safe?
That's right, Michael. 24 ساعة تفصلنا عن أهم حدث، أكبر حدث في عالم الMMA. كل محبين الMMA اللي عم يتابعونا من جميع أنحاء العالم أكيد حدث في هاي الأهمية، في هاي الضخامة. كمان لازم يكون في عاصمة الMMA الرياض، المملكة العربية السعودية، متواجدين بالميادين للإعلان عن الأوزان الرسمية لكل المشاركين في هذه البطاقة من PFL Super Fights معركة العمالقة.
Tomorrow night's fight card live on pay-per-view. That's ESPN in the States, DAZN worldwide. Make sure you buy that now. On that fight card, 3 world title fights in all. The first of which will be for the Bellator middleweight gold. That world title fight is a rematch between the champion Edlin and getting his second chance at that title. That is Fabian Edwards. And then we go on to our co-main event. The first of our PFL Super Fight titles is on the line in the women's featherweight division. It is the legend Cyborg against the 2-time PFL champion Pacheco. And then capping off the night for the PFL Super Fights heavyweight title, it is the Battle of the Giants. It is the man making his return to the MMA cage, the long-awaited return, the one that many consider widely to be the one true MMA heavyweight champion, that, of course, the Predator, Francis Ngannou, as he takes on the PFL champion in the heavyweight division from 2023, the 6'8" Renan Ferreira.
اكيد زي ما تفضل زميلي مايكل، بكره ان شاء الله من الرياض راح يكون في عندنا 3 ألقاب عالميه على المحك. راح نبلش في الوزن المتوسط بين تشامبيون بلاتور اي جي ماكي ضد بول هيوز. بعدين راح ننتقل للوزن الريشه للسيدات بين كريس سايبورغ وزميلتها البرازيلية لاريسا باتشيكو. وبالمين ايفنت اكيد هذا الحدث المنتظر اللي كل الناس قاعد يستنوه بكره ان شاء الله لايف من الرياض المملكة العربية السعودية، الكومباك المنتظر لفرانسيس انغانو الى عالم الام ام اي. ذا بريديتور راح ينافس في الوزن الثقيل خصمه البي اف ال تشامبيون هيريرا ذا بروبليما.
Tomorrow night, the action takes place again right here in Riyadh in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Again, tomorrow night, Saturday night. But don't wait until tomorrow. You can do it right now. You should do it right now. Buy that pay-per-view in the U.S., ESPNplus.com, and worldwide at DAZN.com.
إذا أكيد حابين تتابعوا هاي المين كارد راح تكون exclusively حصرياً اونلاين. لازم تشتروا الباقة على ESPN Plus، ذا زون ودازن، حتكون متوفرة في جميع أنحاء العالم، بس لازم تشتروا هاي الباقة عشان تحضروا هذه المنافسة الضخمة والتاريخية ل PFL Battle of the Giants.
Saif El-Naji, thank you very much. And with that, we are set now to get fighters onto the scales. First up, welcome to the stage, the President of Fighter Operations, Mr. Ray Sefo. First up to the scales, the early card will feature 3 5-minute rounds in the featherweight division. Ismail versus Ben Daoud. Your first fighter to the scale in his PFL debut. He enters undefeated at 3-0. This is Taha, the Atlas Lion, Ben Daoud.
So I was chatting with Ben Daoud at the hotel, and he's very familiar with his opponent. Both of these guys training out of Montreal. They're both aware of each other, share a lot of sparring partners, but Ben Daoud's striking is elite level. I've watched many of his fights. He's so slick.
Official weight, 145.5 pounds. And now his opponent, coming off a successful PFL MENA debut from Montreal, Quebec, Canada. This is Tariq Desert Storm Ismail.
Tariq Ismail is fighting out of Montreal, Canada. He's originally from Sudan. He's 8-1 with 7 of his victories coming by way of decision. Trains out of Bazooka Kickboxing and MMA with he's a 9-fight veteran.
Official weight 145.25 pounds.
Fight to open the action tomorrow night in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Taha Ben Daoud, Tariq Ismail.
And now we'll stay with the featherweights again, 3 5-minute rounds. Ibrahimov Campos first to the scale. He's undefeated at 5-0 in his PFL debut out of Madrid, Spain. Nacho Campos.
I'm excited to see Nacho make his PFL debut. I was looking at this guy last year for PFL Europe, but he wasn't quite ready. But he is a superstar in the making. A very explosive fighter, very scrappy, and he is going to take the fight to Ibra. We know how good Ibra is, though. It's going to be an interesting clash.
His official weight, 145.75 pounds. And now his opponent, after an impressive victory in his PFL Europe debut, he's back. He's undefeated, 7-0 out of Manchester, England. Ibrahim, the Mauler,
Ibrahimov is fighting out of Manchester, England, but originally from Russia. 20 years old. He's kid is 7-0 and a top prospect coming into this.
145 1/2 pounds.
So our second fight of the evening tomorrow night will be two undefeated contestants. One man tastes professional defeat for the first time in Saudi Arabia tomorrow.
Next up, we'll go to the lightweight division. First fighter to the scale. After a KO victory in his Smart Cage debut, he's back. He fights out of Nashville, Tennessee, 9-4. As a pro, this is Dedrick. Break him down, Sanders.
Dedrick Sanders, an interesting one to keep an eye on, made his PFL debut with a knockout. Beautiful striking on this guy. Doesn't load up on his strikes though, likes to build himself in and then find the opportunity to put his opponent away.
Official weight 154 3/4 pounds. Next up to the scale, 15-4 as a professional in his PFL debut. This is Makhachev Zainukov.
Zainukov comes out of the Makashala Dagestan gym, Eagle Training Center with Nurmagomedov. So many champs come out of this gym. This kid's got a very, very solid record at 15-4 with 8 decision victories, 2 submissions, and 5 KOs.
Official weight 155 1/2 pounds.
Both of these men looking to impress the PFL brass and potentially earn an invitation to a future lightweight season. Dedrick Sanders, Makhachev Zainukov.
And now to the bantamweight division as a professional. He stands 15-3 in his PFL debut. Do Brasil, this is Marcos Breno Leal.
This guy's a lot of fun to watch, and what's interesting here is he's got a very well-rounded game, and of course with Rafion Stotts being such a strong wrestler, you would think he's going to use his wrestling as takedown defense, but I think he needs to take the initiative and take the match to his opponent.
Official weight 136 pounds even. And now his opponent, the former Bellator interim title holder. He's 20-2 as a pro from Houston, Texas, Rafion Super Stotts.
Rafion Stotts, 2-time Division II national champion in wrestling. UFC veteran Jens Pulver trains this young man. Got a ton of experience, 20-2 on his record.
Official weight 135 3/4 pounds.
Feature bout on our early card between these two. Both incredibly well-rounded mixed martial arts. Expect this one to be a highly technical chess match. Rafion Stotts, Marcos Breno Leal. So some great early card matchups. A lot of fun to get us warmed up for the night, but then, of course, the main card gets rolling exclusively on pay-per-view on DAZN and on ESPN+. This is going to be the biggest night in PFL history, and we started off really quickly. A big-time matchup on the early card, on the early portion of that pay-per-view card. We talked about it a little bit with Ray Lewis, AJ McKee and Paul Hughes. The question has been, is Paul Hughes ready? Is he biting off more than he could chew with AJ McKee, who in 23 fights only has 1 loss, and he kind of laughs at that. He says, what do you think I'm here for? I'm trying to take over.
You know, this is such a fascinating fight. How does Paul Hughes deal with the experience of AJ McKee? McKee should expect to run through Paul Hughes, but he even knows it's not going to be that easy. Just with the confidence that Paul Hughes speaks, the eye contact, when he tells him he's going to knock him out. That's a different kind of fighter that he's up against this time around.
Well, you saw on that card, the top of the card is really what we're all here for in Riyadh. This is the 3rd time Francis Ngannou will have fought in the capital city of Saudi Arabia, but it's the first time in mixed martial arts. The last 2 were boxing matches. Of course, he stepped away from mixed martial arts for a little while to pursue that dream of boxing. Now the Predator is back.
As Ngannou enters the cage in the main event, he'll be looking to answer the question, is he still the baddest man on the planet?
Oh boy, the left hook, and that'll do it!
The Predator earned that reputation thanks to his unprecedented power. and dominating wins over the best in the sport.
Nice uppercut.
12 of his 17 career victories have come by knockout, including KOs against 4 different UFC champions. Ngannou secured his biggest knockout in 2021 when he defeated Stipe Miocic by second-round KO to become the heavyweight world champion. Ngannou left the UFC as the champ to pursue boxing, where he knocked down and nearly beat heavyweight champion Tyson Fury.
In case you have forgotten what this man is capable of in the knockout department, look at that laundry list of not just names, but of absolute legendary, formidable opponents that Francis has not only beat, but he's knocked out. Alistair Overeem, he nearly decapitated Alistair Overeem. And that man is one of the
like
most
a Pez dispenser.
One of the most formidable strikers ever in heavyweight mixed martial arts. Randy, it seems like Francis Ngannou has been in the business since the very beginning of just silencing doubters. I remember the conversation around that Overeem fight. Oh, Francis isn't technical enough. He's just all power. And then he knocked out Alistair. Oh, he can't stand someone like Cain Velasquez. The wrestling will be too much for him. And then he beats Cain Velasquez. What can stand in this guy's way?
I don't think there's anything that can stand in this guy's way. The story is, it's like a Disney movie unfolding what he's been through, where he's come from, how he made his way and got jailed in Spain, trying to make it to Europe to start this journey, start this career. It's remarkable, honestly. And he's always run towards that adversity, trying to shore up those glaring weaknesses. Anything he needed to do to be the best in the world. And that's what we're seeing, Francis Ngannou as the best in the world.
You know, we talk about highlight reel knockouts, and you show me those fights in a list and I can play them in my head. I've seen them so many times. They're so dramatic. I don't think necks are supposed to bend in those directions and people's heads stay attached. This guy is absolutely terrifying. What he's going to do tomorrow night is going to be really, really interesting to see. Can he get to Renan Ferreira's chin?
It's time to get our main card weighed in, so we go back to Michael C. Williams and Saif El-Naji.
And now tomorrow night on the main pay-per-view card, we'll open it up with 3 rounds in the lightweight division. Introducing to the scale first, the fighter from sought-after free agent to victory in the Bellator cage. He's now 12-1 as a pro, making his PFL debut fighting out of Northern Ireland. He is Belfast's own Paul Big News Hughes.
Say what you want about Paul Hughes' resume. He knows he hasn't faced the same level of competition that A.J. McKee has, but he feels very ready for this test. He's not shying away from the big-time record and the big-time names on A.J. McKee's resume. This man is fearless heading into this bout.
Yeah, the confidence and composure that this young athlete brings into this smart cage is really remarkable at this level of his career. Facing a guy like McKee is no joke. I mean, we saw him take Clay Collard out in not even half of the first round in the champs versus champs.
Official weight for Hughes, 155 3/4 pounds. His opponent now, the former Bellator featherweight champion, now undefeated in the lightweight division. Overall, as a professional, 22-1. He fights out of Long Beach, California, USA. He is the mercenary, A.J. McKee.
A.J. McKee, 23 fights, only 1 loss, 6 knockouts, 8 submissions. He can grind it out. He can push you into deep waters for decision victory. And he's done it at the highest level for so long, since he was very, very young. He was raised to be a champion. And of course, he has achieved gold in the featherweight division in Bellator. Now he wants lightweight championships. He says that's what I'm fighting for next.
On the scale, exactly the same, 155 3/4 pounds.
A.J. McKee, Paul Hughes. There's been some trash talk in this one, Randy.
I can sense a very different energy from the start of the week. You're definitely a little bit more under your skin this time. Yeah, definitely more under your skin. Yeah, but you're talking now. We've done the face-to-face interview the other day, and I didn't feel this energy. So I think I'm under your skin.
That confidence you won all week, tomorrow is your day.
I think we both know the energy's different, you know, and I made that energy different. So I think I'm already there in your head.
I'm just going to jump in here, guys. Let me just jump in and ask a quick question. Paul, I'll start with you. You keep saying this is your time, divine timing. Tell me about this. Why do you feel this so certain?
I've been through a lot to get here, man. You know, I really, really have. I've given every ounce of my being to be in this stage right now. On this, a production like this, unbelievably blessed and grateful for everybody here and for the PFL and for AJ for giving me this opportunity. But this is my time. This is divine timing. AJ has been there and done it. It's time for the young lion to take over. And I will.
AJ, does this kind of confidence from a prospect surprise you? How are you feeling about it right now?
Man, I'm just ready to get it on. Like I told him, tomorrow's the day. I'm going to break him tomorrow.
He's going to break you tomorrow, Paul. Tell me, is that going to happen?
I'll tell you what, the man looks very flustered to me. He looks very, very flustered to me. I'll tell you what, a very different energy that I was feeling this week. I think I'm a little bit under his skin. I think
you've had your hype talk all week. Tomorrow is the day. No more talking, none of that. I'm going to break you. I'm going to literally beat you and maul you until you're done. Watch.
Is he under your skin?
Not at all, dude. I've been here so many times. It's another day in the office.
Good luck, guys. It's going to be a great fight.
And now from the lightweights, we go to the featherweight division. Set for 3 5-minute rounds. We'll introduce the first fighter out of the blue corner. He'll make his PFL debut. He enters at 13-4 as a professional. He fights out of Worms, Germany. This is Zafar Mohsen.
You know, speaking with Mohsen in the fighter interviews, he feels like his judo background is actually going to be a big advantage for him here. Of course, he's facing a guy with that traditional wrestling background, and he knows that when you're up against a formidable grappler like that, you have to give him something different.
And 3/4 pounds.
You have to give him something new, and judo might just be that.
His opponent now also making his PFL debut. He comes in near perfect, bringing 11 professional victories, just 1 loss. Originally from Chechnya, he fights out of Aarhus, Switzerland. This is Hussein Karimagomedov.
Hussein is undefeated at 12-0 as an amateur. He's originally from Warsaw, Poland, but now lives in Switzerland. Very interesting guy.
His official weight, 146 pounds even.
Hussein Karimagomedov, Zafar Mohsen. Both of these guys have made it clear they want an invitation to compete in the PFL global season with a win. Karimagomedov is a training partner of Khamzat Chimaev.
Next up, we'll go to the first of our 3 world title fights. A spectacular back and forth in their first fight. And now, this is the rematch for the Bellator Middleweight World Championship.
Yeah, going back to my fight with Johnny, I felt like I was winning.
Fabian Edwards here to take control of the cage. Edwards on the break with the elbow strike.
Threw an elbow, cut me open.
Oh, that is a monster cut.
And I went out there and I knocked him out. That's what happened.
Edwards goes down. Johnny Edwards pulling on the pressure and the ground and pound looking to finish Edwards. He's out.
His brother kind of came in there looking at me, and I was like, I'll knock you out too.
I don't care for the kid. He's just someone that's in my way.
No, that's mine, brother.
I'm better everywhere. My striking, my wrestling, how I mix things up. I'm going to beat him up every single round.
By any means, my hand can be raised. I'll be bringing that girl back to Birmingham.
I'm here to put on a show, have fun, and beat the shit out of this guy.
Earlier this year, he was victorious and earned the rematch he demanded, and now he enters tonight as a professional, 13-3 out of Birmingham, England. Now the 2-time title challenger, Fabian the Assassin Edwards.
It was just over a year ago that Fabian Edwards came oh so close to earning a finish with that big cut oh so close to handing Johnny Eblen the first loss of his career. And even though he ended up losing that fight, he knew. He said he learned in that fight that he could get it done. So the last year has been all about closing the gap and making sure it's a different fight, different outcome this time around.
Official weight 184 3/4 pounds. And now presenting the undefeated title holder that many consider to be one of the sport's best. At 15-0 as a pro, he fights out of Coconut Creek, Florida. He is the defending Bellator middleweight world champion, Johnny "Pressure" Eblen.
Notable wins over Mike Brown, Jorge Masvidal, and Dustin Poirier. Johnny Eblen is 15-0, wrestled at Missouri. Very, very strong team in Missouri. Askren, Chandler, Woodley, a ridiculous group of guys that came out of that era for Missouri State Wrestling. Qualified in 2015 for the NCAA Championship.
Official weight for the champ, 184 3/4 pounds.
Eblen has that admirable quality where you hurt him and he gets more dangerous in his fights. Johnny Eblen, Fabian Edwards for the Bellator middleweight strap. We're going to let Dan Hardy have a conversation with his countryman, the challenger.
All right. I'm here with Fabian Edwards. You must have felt so close that last time around. You must feel like you can get the job done here.
I know I can get the job done. Saturday night, I'm going to get the job done.
What do you think is going through the champion's mind now he's got to defend his belt against you again?
If I'm honest, I don't really care what's going through his mind. I'm just locked in on Saturday. I'm ready for a performance on.
Glad to be in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia.
I'm happy to be here. It's going to be a fight. Sure.
Brett, over to you.
Yeah, well, Fabian just said he doesn't care what's in the mind of the champion, but let's find out from him. What is in the mind of the champion 24 hours before this next title defense?
Time to put my hands on him and finish him again. That's all that's in my mind. Because that's what happened last time. Just got to reproduce the same thing.
First rematch of your professional MMA career. Anything different? Do you think you have an advantage, disadvantage? Who holds the advantage and why in this rematch?
I mean, you saw what happened. I knocked him the fuck out. I have the advantage, obviously.
So can't wait to see it. Thank you, John.
Two of the world's best strikers and finishers will battle it out in the co-main event of the evening. 5 rounds are scheduled, and this will be for the women's featherweight PFL Super Fights World Title.
Larissa Pacheco, perhaps the most explosive striker in women's mixed martial arts. The first PFL 2-division champion.
Chris Cyborg has been historically dominant. A ferocious knockout artist with unparalleled finishing ability.
Larissa, she's never fight somebody like me in her career. I think it's going to be a big challenge for her.
Oh, right hand landed there for Pacheco.
Eu acho que o meu jogo é melhor, eu acredito no meu trabalho, eu acredito no que eu faço.
Oh, the right hand! Down goes Blanco!
I'm a complete fighter now. It's very difficult to beat me every time I step in the octagon, and they're getting better and better.
Chris Cyborg remains Bellator featherweight champion!
Não, depois que fechar a gaiola ali, a gente vai ver quem é a melhor lá dentro.
10 consecutive victories have brought her to this moment. As a professional overall, she's 23-4. 11 knockouts, 8 wins by submission. The 2-time 2-division PFL champion from Marituba, Brazil. This is Larissa Pacheco.
The superlatives all apply when you're talking about Larissa Pacheco's explosiveness and power. She has singular, one-touch, I can change your life type punching ability. It's very rare in mixed martial arts. It's even more rare in women's mixed martial arts. But this young woman has it, and it's led her to 2 PFL championships.
Official weight 144 1/4 pounds. And now we welcome the legend to this scale. Having collected every major title in the sport as a professional, she's 27-2 with 21 knockouts, 1 submission. She fights out of Curitiba, Brazil. She's the reigning Bellator Featherweight World Champion. Introducing Cris Cyborg.
Strikeforce champ, Invictus champ, UFC champ, and Bellator champ. Trying her best to add the PFL to that title list.
Official weight 144.5 pounds.
Cris Cyborg, Larissa Pacheco, the two hardest hitting women in mixed martial arts, squaring off a mirror match. Very similar stylistically, both of them incredibly well-rounded though. Some intensity from the veteran Cris Cyborg, as Randy mentioned, chasing her 5th major promotion belt. Dan Hardy's got Larissa Pacheco on the stage.
Larissa, this must be an exciting moment for you. You must have watched Cyborg as a fan. What's it like to now be her opponent?
Larissa, esse deve ser momento muito emocionante para você, muito excitante, porque você assistiu a Cyborg lutar, você é provavelmente uma fã. O que você sente agora tendo que lutar com a Cyborg?
Bom, eu nunca fui fã dela, eu admiro o trabalho dela, admiro o que ela fez, porque se eu só tô aqui é por conta de que ela começou, mas eu venho aqui para buscar meu cinturão.
Yeah, I've never been a fan, but I've always admired her. She has done a lot for the sport, but I'm here to get what is mine. I'm ready to put on a show in an upcoming fight.
We know how dangerous, how well-rounded she is. Where is your advantage in this fight? How do you get the victory?
A gente sabe quão perigosa ela é, como ela luta em todas as partes da luta, striking, grappling. Onde você acha que são as suas vantagens?
Bom, eu acredito no meu trabalho, eu treino muito e treinei muito para estar aqui. Então não tem ninguém melhor do que eu nesse momento.
I believe a lot in my work. I trained a lot to be here, and I don't believe there is anybody better than me.
Thanks, champ. Good luck. Brett, over to you.
Thank you so much, Dan. We'll wait for the translator here to come over real quickly. Cris, 20 years you have been doing this, but still the intensity, the yell after getting off the scale. Just kind of put us in your mindset. What are you feeling right now going into this fight against Pacheco?
I feel happy. I feel very blessed to be here. This is what I'm born to do. And I'm glad that it's a perfect place, a perfect time, a perfect moment. I come and looking for the 5th belt. This is my job.
What makes it so perfect for you? Why is it so perfect? This opponent, this setting, you just called it a perfect place to start this tour legacy that you're talking about. But, what makes it so perfect for you?
Because it's God time.
How do you see the fight going? You just heard what Larissa said about the stylistic matchup. How do you see this fight unfolding here tomorrow evening?
You know, I train really hard. You know, I'm ready for 5 rounds. I'm a surrender fighter, and I'm ready for any situation to fight. If we go war to five rounds, I'm ready.
Always a pleasure, Cris. Good luck. Thank you.
In the Battle of the Giants main event of the evening, it will be for the heavyweight PFL Super Fights World title. And here's a look at why the time has come to brace for impact.
Battle of the Giants, ladies and gentlemen, in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia.
Eu me sinto muito confiante. Tenho desenvolvido muito nos últimos anos.
Problema with the championship!
I'm the guy to beat. No question about it. I'm the money maker.
My goal right now is not just about like being back in MMA, it's being back in what I love. I always have a purpose, I always look for the reason why I'm doing. I didn't have a chance to fight for my son, man, so I think this is it.
Espero que ele esteja bem preparado, que eu vou estar bem treinado para essa luta. Com certeza, quem colocar a mão primeiro, o outro vai dormir.
Well, I have a problem, but every problem has a solution.
And now we welcome the 2023 PFL Heavyweight Champion. As a professional, he's 13-3. He finished 12 of those 13 wins, 11 by knockout, 1 by submission. From Portugal to Brazil, this is Renan Problema Ferreira.
Problema, last time out, knockout. The time before that, knockout. This man is on not just a win streak, Randy, on a knockout streak, and he's got the size and power to do it to even the best in the world.
On the scale, officially 261.5 pounds. And now we welcome the former UFC undisputed heavyweight champion in his long-awaited MMA return, his PFL debut. He comes in 17-3, 12 wins by knockout, 4 by submission. Out of Las Vegas by way of Cameroon, this is Francis the Predator Ngannou.
Francis fled Cameroon at the age of 26 to pursue his career in boxing. Ended up on a mixed martial arts mat in Paris. Eventually made his way to the United States. And here he is, arguably the best mixed martial artist on planet Earth.
Official weight 256.75 pounds.
I'm going to try and get right in the middle. Here, guys. Guys, I'm going to try and get right in the middle here. Want a question from both of you. Renan, that was a very fiery face-off. You look very charged up. This is the last time before the fight. How are you feeling?
Esse foi face-off muito intenso. Como que você está se sentindo agora nesse último face-off antes da luta?
Como o Francis mesmo já falou ontem, só um homem vai ficar em pé amanhã ali dentro.
As Francis said himself, only one man will end up standing in that cage.
And what's your prediction? How do you step out of that cage the winner?
E como você acha que essa luta vai terminar? Como que você vai conseguir finalizar essa luta?
Eu tô pronto para todos os momentos da luta, cheguei muito bem preparado, tô feliz e vou para cima.
I'm ready for this fight. I trained a lot. I'm feeling happy, and I'm ready to put on the show.
Francis, he got right in your face, right forehead to forehead. Did you expect that aggression from him?
I expect everything from him. I think by this moment, we are ready for everything, and tomorrow is the time.
And what's your prediction, my friend? How do you come out victorious?
Well, I think there's one way to come out victorious, is to beat him. And let him know who is the king.
Excited to be back in mixed martial arts, my friend?
Who is the king, Renan?
Who is the king, Renan?
Perguntou quem é o rei.
Problema.
He knows the answer, no need to ask him. I'm the king, and tomorrow you're going to find out.
Good luck tomorrow night, guys.
Francis Ngannou, Renan Ferreira, your main event, 2 massive heavyweights. You saw even Ray Sefo standing there, dwarfed by those 2 monsters, and it got a little bit intense. Randy, I am charged up right now watching those two, because they've been pretty respectful going back and forth, but you can see the intensity has built and built and built, almost boiled over right there.
Yeah, it sure did. Head to head. I bet Ray Lewis was like, guys, you don't have helmets on. You don't need to do this now.
Here it is. Here's the moments where who initiated? I guess it was Francis who made contact first, leaning in.
Ferreira meets it though, pushes back.
And that collision, you have never seen, I don't care how long you've been watching mixed martial arts, never have you seen 2 heavyweights that are this big, this explosive, this fast, this athletic. This in the heavyweight division, Randy, I can confidently say, all due respect to you and every opponent, never before have you seen this level of athleticism in a heavyweight title fight. It is the biggest fight of the year, in mixed martial arts. And the only way for you to see it is to buy now. Buy it on pay-per-view. Scan that QR code. Go to DAZN.com/pay-per-view, ESPN Plus. Pay-per-view. You have to buy it to watch it. An incredible main event. An unbelievable co-main event. A Bellator middleweight world title bout. And several other great matchups from the kingdom. Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. We'll see you tomorrow night.
Be on the lookout. Francis Ngannou and Renan Ferreira brace for impact.
Yeah, coming in. The baddest man on the planet is Francis Ngannou. Right where I live.
Let's talk about Problema, a Brazilian knockout machine. The most feared heavyweight on the planet.
Coming in.